could not. So he sent me over his sermon, and he asked me to read it, and I said, no. Not that it wasn't good, but thank God you got a couple of sons there. Why don't you get one of his sons to come over and read it? If they're anything like their father, it'll be beautifully read, and the sentiment will certainly be there. So we are pleased to have Ari, his son Ari, here today with us. We'll read his father Stephen's message on this New Year Day. So Ari Mach is coming up.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Rabbi Cutler, for inviting my father to speak and welcoming me to deliver the sermon on his behalf. Kol Yisrael Avarim. From the more literal translations, all Israel is responsible for one another, or each Jew is responsible for every Jew, to an all-encompassing and simple translation, we are all connected. The simple truth, my father writes, is that we cannot really exist without each other. Please hold that thought, and if you haven't already, I'd like you guys to take a moment and say hello or introduce yourself to those around you.
Oh, how are you? I'm your auntie.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Shana Tova.
Sorry. Hey, curly hair. I've never seen you before. What's your name? Joshua. My name's
So
Andrea.
as we look into each other's eyes, we see and sense the flicker of each other's humanity, our hope for a better world, and our awareness of how to make this world better by the actions and deeds of our lives. And we understand, Kol Yisrael Avarim. It's this theme, our interconnectedness as a people, as Jews, and as citizens of the world, that today I'll talk about and hopefully refresh that wisdom with which you already live your lives. Please find your way into joining me in this melody, or nigun, and let it sink into your heart and take it where it wants to go. La la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la, la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Here we are, thankfully at the head of the new year, Rosh Hashana. As Jews, this holy day, this time of year, is the essence of what Judaism is about. Here's the end of Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. One of the Jewish metaphors for that internal moral desire to live a good life, perhaps the one less traveled by, is our eternal light, which hangs over the ark of our Torah. And each Shabbat, indeed each holiday, that light is imbued and brought to life in our Torah, as it is taken out of the ark, shared, touched, and kissed, and is brought around to each of us in whatever tent of meeting to which we come to pray. That Torah represents our eternal light of shared wisdom, and it comes from the innermost part of ourselves, our souls. The Torah enables us to take a look at ourselves in a way that is devoid of shame, without anger, pride, or vanity, and for us to see exactly where in our lives our emotions, needs, feelings, and thoughts were not met. Here and now, our whole tradition, our entire legacy as Jews, nudges us to acknowledge every time we are hurt, every time our own ego needs are not indulged and satisfied, every time our own selfishness pops out of our mouths, so that we can do better than give in to our negative urges, our Yetzer Hara. We can do something more than to miss the mark of our better selves with our spouses, our families, our friends. We can do better and act out of our hearts, our souls. For as the rabbis say, the Yetzer Hara starts as a passerby, becomes a guest, and then takes over the house. Recently, my father was on a panel that discussed episodes of Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm. In one episode called The Sandwich, at the beginning, Larry's swimming in the ocean, the water's calm, and then without notice, the ocean gets rough and the waves pour over Larry, pummeling him relentlessly. We see him drowning, struggling for his life, and then without explanation, Larry's tossed up on the shore, gasping for air as he passes out. The scene reminds us how at one time or another we've all experienced something similar. Each of us has momentarily felt like we were on the verge of dying, that our lives hung in the balance, and by some fluke we were spared. Later, Larry explains to his friends that in his heart he cried out to God for help, and he was saved. A miracle, he says. My life is a miracle. The wife of his manager says, well, Larry, maybe now you'll think about your life, the other human beings in your life. Maybe now you'll be kinder to people. To which Larry responds, as only he can, what do you mean? I'm a people person. I love people. The episode ends with him getting kicked out of synagogue for scalping tickets and disturbing the peace by arguing with Richard Lewis about who's more famous. The fight is about who deserves more ego recognition by having a sandwich named after him at the local deli. Not that unlike Nathan's, Cantor's, Lakers, or Factor's famous. Each of the other events of the half-hour sitcom deal with Larry and the other characters short-sightedly live their lives in a rather selfish, idiosyncratic way, and indicates how we, the audience, give in to our baser instincts and intuitively beg for some kind of sanity to bring us back to our normal lives. In essence, Larry is urging us to think how we miss the mark, as it were, in our daily lives, and what more selfless actions are open to us, day by day, and in which ways can we serve, help one another, do something that does not have only me, and me attached to it. In reality, how to simply do one of the 613 mitzvot that our Jewish tradition commands us to do, and subsequently live more joy through celebrating our theme, Kol Yisrael Abarim. All great comics, Rabbi Cutler included, offer themselves up in one way or another for comedic ridicule. Each of us have seen how the great comedians exaggerate their behavior so as to draw attention to their absurdities, as they seem to say, don't do as I do, don't speak as I speak. See in me the comedic sacrificial goat. Find the right moral value that is closer to your best instincts. Find a way to do an action that is oriented away from the self and toward another human being. Find a way to laugh at the absurdities in yourself and in your life, and discover the best in yourself and in your life. I like the idea of holiness defined as the absence of self-interest. Make one final analogy. Moses dies and goes to heaven. God greets him at the pearly gates. Are you hungry, Moses? God asks. I could eat, Moses replies. So God opens a can of tuna fish and reaches for a chunk of rye bread, and they share it. And while partaking of this humble meal, Moses looks down into hell and sees the inhabitants devouring huge steaks, briskets, pheasants, pastries, and wine. Curious but deeply trusting, Moses remains quiet. The next day, again, God invites Moses to join him for a meal. Again, it's tuna and rye. And again, Moses can see those denizens of hell enjoying salmon, champagne, lamb, truffles, and chocolates. And still, he says nothing. The following day, mealtime arrives. Another can of tuna is opened. He can't contain himself any longer. Meekly he says, God, I'm grateful to be here in heaven with you as a reward for the pious, obedient life I led. But here in heaven, all I get to eat is tuna and a piece of rye bread. And in the other place, they eat like emperors and kings. I don't understand. God sighs. Let's be honest, he says. For just 2 people, does it pay to cook? So this holiday of Rosh Hashana and the days leading up to and ultimately including Yom Kippur are days of profound introspection, days in which our legacy urges us to see where we have gone astray, where we have served only our egos, where we've missed the mark. And by taking that deep personal look into our souls, we can find our errors of judgment, where we have reasoned wrongly, and discover our mistakes, and make amends and restitution to those we have hurt. By taking such days of introspection seriously, maybe even with a joke or two, we can do teshuvah, and like Larry David and Moses, we can come more closely to trying to hit the mark for more balanced, rational, and loving behavior. Rabbi Salanter, the father of our Musar tradition, says the greatest sound in the cosmos is that of someone changing himself and growing from it. By doing so, each one of us offers our best efforts in some small but very direct way at Tikkun Olam, at healing the world. Thank you. Hashana Tova, U'ka, a good and sweet new.
Woo! They can do that at some point.
Great job, Daddy. Papa will be so proudly love you.
Turn it around.
Great job.
No, that's the wrong